Hello and welcome to our webinar, Back to Basics Reporting 101. My name's Beth Hendry and I'll be taking you through this webinar today. So just a few housekeeping. The duration of this webinar will be approximately 30 minutes. Your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar. My microphone is on, but you've all been muted, and any questions will be taken at the end of the webinar using chat box. If there are any problems, then by all means, if you just pop a little chat into the chat box, and I can deal with them as and when they come up. So the learning outcomes for today. So today we're going to be looking at a number of key reports, and we're going to explain when we suggest that they should be run. So whether they're daily reports, weekly reports, monthly or yearly. We'll also look at a few key points about those reports, so what they're telling you about your business. And then we're also going to give you a bit of a breakdown at the end about how those reports improve your marketing. So how you can create more targeted marketing where the business needs it by utilising the information that's in those reports. So it's all going to be on PowerPoint today. So we've got a few reports that we've already created. I'm just going to walk you through them now. So the first one that we're going to look at is the one that everybody should be looking at anyway. This is our trading summary. This is probably our key report within Shortcuts. So to find this report, you can see that you can find it under Tools, Reports, End of Day, and you'll find it Trading Summary. The report can be run for any past period, and it's suggested that it can be run daily. So daily for your daily take-ins, weekly and monthly. You can also run it quarterly, yearly, depending what you need to look at or what information you need to see. So a summary about our trading summary, you can see we've given you a little bit of a breakdown here about the report itself. Now we know that it shows our service sales and our retail sales as well as our take-ins, so our cash, checks, credit cards, etc. But some of the important information is on that report further down. And basically this report is an all-in-one report. You can see everything that you need to see at a glance about your business. So some of the interesting information that we can see is the average tickets. So you can actually see your average ticket totals, and then you'll see that it breaks those average tickets down now into services. So that's the number of tickets that had a service on them, and they were service only. Number of tickets that had a service on, that was all tickets. Then you can see the number of service tickets, product tickets, sorry, that were only retail or product, and then you can see the tickets that had products on them all. You can also see that we've got a breakdown of the clients, so we can see our client demographics. We can see how many walk-in clients we've had, how many new clients, and how many returning clients. Now, a new client is the first time that they've been in, and returning means that they've already been in once, i.e. a service has already gone through in a previous period, so therefore they're classed as a returning client. The new client, sometimes, just to point out, if the client comes in, if you're looking at it over a month and the new client is in twice in that period, so they were a new client the first visit, they came back for a second visit, as you're looking at it as a month and they were a new client within that period, you'll see that they will actually be marked as a new client and not a returning. We then have a breakdown of our male, females and child, and unspecified, which means that we need to do a bit of a tidy up on the data. That means that people who aren't specified as male or female, and a child is specified by the age group, so that's the 0 to 15 age group. You'll see down the bottom it also gives us our employee stats, so we can see what our employees are doing in services, products, any sundry gift certificates that they sell, total figures, and then you can see that we look at a percentage total, so we can see who our high earners are and who our low earners are. We have an average ticket, number of tickets, you can see the employee time, which works off the roster, and if you're not using the roster at all and you're using the clocking in and clocking out, then it would go off that. And then we have a service sales per hour, which is great to find out how much each employee is taking. So it's great to see who's upselling. So who you're getting the most out of their time. So you can see Elise there is earning £80 an hour. She's bringing in £80 an hour in services, which is great. That means that she's upselling services as well. So So that's our trading summary. So as I said, that's one of our key reports within Shortcuts, and that's probably one of the ones that you'll look at a lot. Another one of our brilliant reports is our measuring future appointments. So how to locate, this is called the value of future appointments. You can find it under Tools, Reports, Appointments. And this report can be run for any time period. So you can run it for weekly, monthly, quarterly. And the idea of this report is to give us an idea of what's coming up. So it's really good for forecasting. It's great for being able to see what's coming in, what we've got booked in already, and being able to identify any quiet periods. So any periods where we seem to have a dip. So you'll see here, if we look at it, we've got value of future appointments, and it will give us all the employee names, and it will give us a percentage of their appointments. So we can see who's got the most future appointments booked in and who's not doing so well. So we can see Jackie's only got 5% of our future appointments. So therefore we need to do something to try and book up her appointments. When you choose on a name, then what will happen is you're able to then drill down. You can see down the bottom, we've then got a drill down into those services that she's delivered, or that she's got booked, sorry. So choose an employee name, see the details, and then, as I said, we can pinpoint upcoming slow periods and pinpoint low revenue, high demand services. So low revenue, high demand services are where you're doing a service where it doesn't bring in a lot of revenue, but we're doing it a lot over and over again. So therefore we need to be looking at those clients, and we need to be trying to upsell. We need to be trying to push them into buying more colours or more high value services to try and up the appointments and the revenue that's coming in. So another of our reports is our top selling products. So our top selling products gives you a rough idea of what products are selling and which ones aren't. So how to locate this report? Under Tools, Reports and Stock, and that's where you'll find it. And again, this report can be run for any past period. We do suggest that it's run for last month, so you can see what sold well last month. But I would always then run it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, just to see if that product is consistently top selling, or if it's just been top selling for that period, i.e. if you've already done a product promotion on that product. Is that the reason for it being a top selling product? So you want to be looking to see, is it continually a top selling product or not? So I'll take you into the report here. So you'll see, as I said, it's our top selling report, top selling product report, and you can see here I've got all my product names and the quantities that I've sold. It gives me a total value of sales, and then it will also give me a profit. So it's great to be able to identify any products that are high profit. These are brilliant products that we want to be selling and want to be pushing. So we're looking at products that sell themselves. So products that sell themselves without any promotions, they just fly off the shelves. We can also see from our top selling products, not only our best selling, we can also see our products that aren't selling. So these are all the products that are selling, but therefore that means that nothing else is. And as I said, if you look at it over a larger period, you'll actually be able to then pinpoint which products are not selling at all. And then you can see the profit that you generate on those reports. Top selling products with a high profit is win-win for your salon. So ideally we want the high-end products to be selling. We want the products that have a larger profit, because a larger profit means that there's more money in your pocket. And they're the products that really we want to be pushing. We want them to be our top selling products, because that means that we're getting more money in for the salon. As well as the top selling products, we also have a top selling services report. Again, this is under Tools, Reports, and then into Services. You'll see it under there. This report can be run again for any past period. Again, we'd say last month, but again, like the top selling products, I would suggest maybe look at it for last month, then compare it to the month before and the month before. So maybe run it for a quarter as well, just to get a better idea of exactly what is selling and what isn't selling. So here's our report, and you can see again it's giving us a breakdown for our services. and it shows our most popular services. We can also identify our least popular services as well. And then the average charge. So the average charge means if there's any discounts being given or any we're giving them away for free, for example. So what you need to be looking at, is this lower than the service price? So if your average charge for a service is lower, then that means that you're discounting heavily on that service. So are you discounting heavily? Are you giving those services away for free or just at a high reduced rate? So one thing to watch out for, it's great to see if you know that that's your top selling service and that's selling itself, then really we shouldn't be discounting on those services, and we should be looking at our low selling services to be discounting those to try and get people buying more from us, more from the salon. So that's our top selling services report. And the next one is an employee report. So the next two that I'm going to show you are both employee reports. So the employee performance extended. So I know a lot of you may be familiar with the employee performance report, which gives you a breakdown on the services that are being delivered by your employees. But this one's a bit of a favourite of mine. It gives us a little bit more information. And as a business owner, we really need to be looking at not just what they're delivering, but if they're upselling, what their productivity is. And this report gives us everything. So this can be found under Tools, into Reports, and then under Employee. And this report again can be run for any time period. We suggest it's run for last year, but if you were doing a review, maybe you might want to look at it yearly. You can look at it quarterly. As I said, it can be run for any time period, and usually you just look at it for the last month. So this report's got a lot going on, as you can see. It's quite a big report, but it's great to be able to look at the productivity of our employees. So you can see each employee is across the top, and then there's a whole host of information down the side. So we can see our hours worked and our productivity. So obviously high productivity is great and low productivity is not great. That means that they're not delivering based on their hours worked. It also gives us our hours worked. You can also see that it looks at the average client spend overall. So we can see how much on average a client is spending with that individual, which is great to highlight if anybody is upselling. So upselling services, upselling retail. We also have an employee service to retail upsell. So you can see in the columns where we're looking at the top where it says service plus retail, we have all of our service. So that's our service by hour, service totals. We then have a retail section. So services is just service related, retail is just retail related. And then we have a service plus retail. So that's all tickets that have service and retail. So that means that our employees are upselling. They're actually upselling retail on service tickets. And then you'll see underneath we have a retail conversion. So that shows us what our conversion rate is for getting people with services to purchase retail. We also have a retail only, so that's just retail only bills. All the others are service bills. We have a totals, and then we have our service categories as they would. So another thing is for the rebooking, it gives us a bit of an idea about our rebooking percentages and numbers as well. So you can see under the services, we also have our service rebooking, and we can see what our rebooking percentage is. So how well our employees are doing with their rebookings. So a really great report, a lot of information, but I find it really, really useful to be able to sit and analyse, especially with regards to the upselling of service to retail. Another employee report is our client retention report. So a great report to find out exactly what's going on with our employees, what clients are being kept, who we're losing, and where they're going. So how to locate this report? It's under Tools, Reports and Employee, and it's called Client Retention Report. So this report is best run over a minimum of a 6-month period. Usually what we would suggest, this report is quite a tricky report when you're looking at the date range. But with this report, the key to it is allowing your clients time to return. So whenever you're looking at this, if I was to look at it over a 6-month period, the date range that I pick when I choose the report is the first 3 months of a 6-month period. I then leave the remainder 3 months for the client to return. Shortcuts need you to leave a period of time not in your date picker. for the client, for it to search for that client to have returned. That's where most people tend to fall down with this report. If you can get that right, then you're flying, and the report will give you a lot of good information. As I said, it can be run for a minimum of 6 months, but once you've had Shortcuts for a number of years, you can maybe look at it last year versus this year and see how many clients you've retained, so who you've lost, who you've kept. So the report itself gives you a breakdown per employee. So you can see that it gives us a list of all of our employees. It gives us total client numbers, so how many clients each of those employees serviced. How many of those clients came back to the same employee? How many came back to another employee? And how many we retained in total? And then you can also see the total of lost clients, and we also have the percentage figures as well. So something really interesting with this is, obviously, if you've got somebody that has done hundreds of clients, but then they've never returned back to them, they've always gone to another employee, then that should ring alarm bells. Also, the lost clients. If your lost clients is high, so higher than your retained, then again, that would ring alarm bells and would mean that something needs to be looked at. By clicking on these figures, so this is a drill through report, so by clicking on these figures, it means that I can actually go in and have a look at a list of all those lost clients if I wanted to. So as I said, what this information shows is the total clients per employee, clients who revisited with the same employee, people who revisited with other people, so the amount we've actually retained as a seller, and then we can actually look at clients who are lost as well. Just one thing to bear in mind, this does all come down to data. So if your client is in there 2 or 3 times in Shortcuts, then the chances are that this report isn't going to be 100% accurate, because your lost clients or your other employees, it could all be a bit messed up if the client's in there multiple times, because they may then have been booked in once or twice, and your lost clients may just be a little bit higher than you would expect. So as with everything, Shortcuts, then client data is absolutely key to making sure that you get the most out of your reporting. Cool, so the last report we want to look at really is Scorecard. So Scorecard comes on our smart system and can be accessed through our Shortcuts console, and you can see the web address there. So what does Scorecard do? Well, Scorecard gives you a breakdown in certain areas, and it gives you an idea of how your salon is doing. So it gives you a traffic light system, so red being not great, orange being you're doing okay, and then green being you're doing great. And you can see your thumbs up, thumbs down, and thumbs in the middle. So the idea is that it looks at your figures. So for example, the one that's showing at the moment is your total revenue, and you can see that it's looking at this year and last year. So it's looking at this time last year and this time this year and how well we've done. So it's given us a rough idea of how the business is going. So hopefully what we should see is that orange bar that's for this year should be progressing. It should be going up and up and up, which means that our business is doing well. Obviously, if it's on a decline, then that means that we're going down. We're not going up with our revenue. So we can look at our total revenue. It also breaks down our service revenue and our retail revenue separately in bar charts. We can then look at our transactions, which gives us a breakdown for our average spend on retail, our average spend on services, and a big one, discounts given. It gives us a breakdown on the discounts that we are giving to our clients, and it shows how much we are actually giving away in discounts, which sometimes can be a little bit scary when you look at that report. So well worth coming in and having a look at that one for sure. Client visit frequency. So this is our visits tab, and this looks at your frequency. So how often are our clients returning? And it gives us an average service per visit and a percentage of upsell as well. So it looks at some really interesting information. The main thing is getting that average frequency, having a look at what your frequency is. Is it better than it was last year? Is it better than it was last month? And if not, if it's starting to decline, we need to do something about it. So with all of these reports, marketing comes into it, because by looking at the information within these reports, we can gauge what we should be doing with our marketing, which I'll get to in a second. Client retention. So our client retention tab gives us an idea of our new clients. So it shows our new clients that we have kept and our new clients that we have lost. And it also shows our repeat clients that we have retained and our repeat clients that we have lost. Again, it's down to the data. So if you've got a client in there 2 or 3 times, they may be classed as a new client and then they may have been lost because only one record is now being put through as the retained client, and 2 maybe were put through once and have never been put through again. So as with everything, as I said, shortcuts data, keeping that client data as clean as possible is brilliant. Online bookings. So if you're using our online booking service, then you can also pull through the online booking data. So we can look at our out of hours bookings versus our online bookings. We can also look at our My Local Salon bookings as well. So it gives us breakdowns of what bookings have been made online, which of those bookings were then made out of hours, which of those bookings were through BookMe, which is through Facebook and your website, versus which bookings were made through My Local Salon. And again, it gives out of hours for both of those. So as you can see, Scorecard is a really useful tool, and it's there at a touch of a button. You can drill into it and you can have a look at the data that's in there and get as much information. And as we said, with the traffic lights, it makes it really easy to be able to identify how you're doing at a glance. Cool. So how do these reports help with marketing? So we've been through a few reports, and as I said, there are some of the key reports that we would always recommend looking at. But one thing is, how do they help? How can we get some marketing information from these? So we can create targeted email campaigns and we can increase our employee and business performance based on those reports. So we can look at creating offers for clients of specific employees. So for example, by using the client retention report and using the employee extended performance report, we can look at either who's not retaining their clients, so we need to, or not doing as many clients, and try and increase their client base. We can also look at our employee extended employee performance extended report, which will then be able to look at so who's doing well in colours but not so well in styling services, and then we would look to do a promotion with them to try and increase the services that they're not performing as well on. We can also look at our employees not converting service to retail and offer product discounts. So again, we could do a particular campaign just saying, if you come in with a particular stylist and you have a cut and blow dry, we will then offer you 10% off all retail. Again, this can be found on the Employee Performance Extended report. You can also look at creating email campaigns to increase client spend. So basically, by looking at our top selling products and our top selling services, we can look at bundling together our top selling service and our low selling products. So people that are coming in for our top selling services and try and get them buying those low selling products. We can also look at our top selling services and low selling services, so bundling 2 together. So if treatments don't sell as well, but our blow dries are selling fantastically, then we'd look to say, if you have a blow dry, you can have a half price treatment, and try and get people buying into some other services that you offer. We can also look at doing 2 for 1 on lower selling retail. So wherever you've got low selling products, we can look at doing a 2 for 1 offer to try and increase it, try and get people using it, try and get them ramped up a little bit. We can also look to create upsell campaigns, so targeting clients with existing appointments. So looking at people that already have appointments in the system for services and trying to get them to maybe buy a different service, buy more retail. We can create email campaigns to increase product revenue by looking at our top selling reports. We can look at increasing our revenue by focusing on our products where the profit is high. So as we said earlier on, if we look at our products where the profit is high, we can look to push those products, try and get those flying off the shelf, which again is win-win for the salon. We can look at our value of future appointments report, and we could create an SMS campaign to fill the gaps. So last minute, as you can see, we've already got a last minute availability there. So we could do last minute availability text out, so the same day or that week or the beginning of the week, just to try and fill the gaps where we know that we've got the gaps with particular employees. We can also look at scorecards to help identify business trends. So the idea is trying to forecast, being able to identify your quieter periods ahead of time and to do targeted campaigns ready so that when you know that that period of time is always quiet, therefore let's get some campaigns in, let's get targeting clients and try and get them in on our quieter periods. And don't forget, our new client email and our non-returning client emails are ongoing, and these really do assist with client retention. Having these campaigns set up within Set and Forget really do assist getting that client retention up. So bringing back clients that have slipped off, our non-returning clients, and also grasping on new clients and getting them back through the door for that all-important second visit. So as I said, by looking at those reports, we can get a whole host of different marketing options. And I mean, there's a lot more reports within Shortcuts, and unfortunately, we just don't have the time to go through all of them. But yeah, you can go through Shortcuts, spend some time looking at the data, and you can find a lot of information, and it can, by looking through the lines, you can forecast a little bit for your business. So the summary, you should now be able to utilise some key reports. You should now know what date ranges to run the reports over and key things about those reports, and also how to use those reports to improve your marketing by creating more targeted marketing where the business needs it. Cool. So that takes me to my questions and answers session. So I'm just going to have a nosy and see if anybody has got any questions. Which it doesn't look like they do, so that's brilliant. I'll give you my contact details shortly, and if you do have any afterwards, then you can contact me. So we've got a few more webinars already lined up, so we've got them scheduled until the end of the year now. So if you want to register for any of our webinars, if you go to our website www.shortcuts.co.uk and go to /webinars, that will take you straight to our webinars page, and you can sign up for any of the new ones that we've got there. So we've got a holiday marketing masterclass, which is going to look more at our marketing, and that's on the 28th of September. And then we've also got a maximise holiday sales webinar, which is on Thursday the 22nd of October, which is going to get you thinking about Christmas period and what we can do to try and maximise our sales around that busy period. If you've missed any of our webinars, then all of our webinars are recorded, and if you have missed any, you can find them on our website under webinars and webinar library. So feel free to go along and have a look around. There's some really interesting ones, some really useful ones on the different products that we offer. If anybody does need to get in touch with me, then my name's Beth Hendry and I can be contacted on email. You can call our office, or if you've got any comments, if you enjoyed the webinar, by all means, please go along and like us on Facebook and Twitter, and please do pop a comment on. We always like to hear good feedback. So please feel free to like us and comment if you wish. If you've got any questions, as I said, there's my email address. So should you have any questions, please feel free to drop me a line, and hopefully I will speak to you all on the next webinar. Thank you very much.